Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and begin today's presentation. Thank you for joining today. My name is Dana Shibley, and I'm with the company Verifyle. All of us at Verifyle are very pleased about the partnership that we have in place with Pennsylvania Society of Tax and Accounting Professionals. And all of you as PSTAP members should know that as a result of that partnership, you get access to the premium version of Verifyle, the paid version of Verifyle, Verifyle Pro, at no charge to you or anyone at all with whom you would like to share information. You get access to the full suite of capabilities, including the ability to brand it as you would like, and also unlimited electronic signatures. You can access your Verifyle Pro system by clicking on the link in recent emails that you received from PSTAP, or you can simply go to verifyle.com and sign in using the email address by which PSTAP recognizes you to be a member. I'll say that again. You can simply go to verifyle.com and sign in for free using the email address by which PSTAP recognizes you to be a member. If you use a different email address, then our system will not be able to recognize you as a PSTAP member, and eventually you'll be asked to supply a credit card, and you should not have to do that because PSTAP has picked up that tab for you. Okay, so quick caveat here, I'm not a CPA, an enrolled agent, or any kind of accountant. So I'm definitely not a tax expert or anything along those lines, but I'm going to be showing you some general sharing examples today to really stress the key concepts for use behind Verifyle. I know that a lot of you probably have pen in hand right now and are looking to take meticulous notes about today's presentation, but the Verifyle system is very intuitive. So as you go through it, if you just get a few key concepts in your head, you'll find that everything else flows from there very naturally, and it's very easy to use. Okay, there are a number of professional services providers across numerous fields who are already using Verifyle for secure sharing. A number of them are also using Verifyle for secure storage. Some professionals use Verifyle primarily for securely sharing sensitive information internally with colleagues and so forth, whereas other professionals use Verifyle exclusively for sharing sensitive information back and forth with their clients. Others use it to selectively share or store sensitive personal or family information as well. So quick background information about Verifyle. We're based out in Silicon Valley, and we are led by Jack Smith, who is the individual who invented and co-founded the company Hotmail, which was many people's first experience with both email and the internet, and ultimately grew to about 500 million users. He also had leading roles with two successful digital security companies, Ironport and Proximex. Verifyle is all about making communication better. And we see two key aspects of communication. Those are security and productivity, neither of which should come at the expense of usability. The reason we place such persistent emphasis on security is that we believe the near-term future of business will be characterized by two types of organizations and professionals: those who successfully make that extra effort to protect and secure their own information and that of their constituents, and continue to reap the long-term trust relationship benefits that derive from that, and those professionals who do not make that extra effort to protect that information and see a gradual erosion in those trust relationships. We believe that that dividing line is going to continue to crystallize over the next several years, and we want to make sure that all of our users fall on the positive side of that line. So you might ask yourself, what is Verifyle? Verifyle is ultra secure messaging and document sharing and storage all on a single screen, where in that single screen, for each situation that you're working on, whether that be a client engagement, project management, or any kind of sharing or storage of sensitive information, you can see exactly who has access what information and if and when any single individual has looked at or downloaded any information. So you always have a very heightened sense of situational awareness in terms of what's going on with your communication, not only from your perspective, as you in some systems feel like you're just sending things out into the ether and you don't really know what's happening on the other side, but in Verifyle, also from the perspective of that client or that important person on the other side of that communication as well. And we'll talk more about this as we get into today's demonstration. So think of Verifyle as your all-in-one communication power tool, specifically designed for those situations that you have to be absolutely on top of, that must be well organized and above all private and secure. Now, in our secure single screen, we've incorporated the most powerful components of email, cloud file sharing, unlimited electronic signatures, and our patented encryption key management technology, Encryption, which manages the interaction of 6 different encryption keys for each time that any single individual interacts with any single piece of information inside of Verifyle. So each data element inside of Verifyle has been individually encrypted, such that even if somebody were to break past our encryption, which they won't, all they'd be able to access would be that single data element, and that's it. There's no potential for someone to break into Verifyle and scoop mass amounts of data to gain what we call bulk access, as they have done with so many systems out there in both the public and private sectors, including Anthem to the tune of something like 80 million individuals' data files, or Equifax to the tune of something like 146 million individuals' data files. With Verifyle, there's no real incentive for someone to try to hack in the first place, because there's not that potential for a large-scale return on that hacker's effort. So this is a major reduction in risk for anyone who uses Verifyle. In fact, we would go as far as to say that it's a complete game changer in terms of your overall information risk profile. And we'll talk more about how this impacts you directly as we now move into the actual demonstration. As we go through the demonstration, please bear in mind that you'll be seeing the system from my perspective, the perspective of a user. And that even though Verifyle is backed by all this encryption technology, by all of this security, as users, we don't need to create any encryption keys, memorize any encryption keys, manage or share any encryption keys at all. That all happens automatically, completely behind the scenes for us. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and take a look. All right, so all of you should now be able to see the sign-in screen for Verifyle, which you can access using any of the major browsers. And of course, it doesn't matter whether you're using a Mac, a PC, or a tablet computer. You're also welcome to use our handy mobile app if you would like. Okay, so I'm going to sign in here using my email address and password, and I can simply click next right here. And I have selected the option inside of Verifyle such that an authenticator code is also being requested of me. All right. The authenticator code is a code that appears on my mobile device. In my case, that's my mobile phone. And that code changes every 30 seconds. The benefit of me using this code, which effectively serves as a second factor of authentication, is that even if somebody does somehow get a hold of my password, they still won't be able to access my Verifyle system unless they also have my mobile phone. And by the way, I do have the option to click in this little box right here, which effectively tells Verifyle, hey, Verifyle, if in the future you can see the sign-in attempt is coming from the same device and browser that I'm using right now, then there's no need to ask me for that extra authenticator code. But if that's not the case, then definitely ask for it. Okay, I'm going to put in that authenticator code. And now I'm inside my Verifyle system. Okay, so all of you will see the PSTAP logo up toward the top center of your screen. And you have the option to swap that out for any logo of your choosing by simply clicking on your name at the top right, and then going into account settings and adding your own logo or any logo that you would like to, which will be seen by people when you're sharing information with them in certain contexts inside of Verifyle. Okay, and we'll take a look at that in more detail a little bit down the road here. All right, the second thing I wanted to point out to all of you is that there are two main areas inside of your Verifyle system. There's the Workspaces area, which we're in right now, and you can see that exemplified by the fact that the Workspaces tab is highlighted. Let's start out by going into the Contacts area. And all I need to do to go into the Contacts area is click on the Contacts tab. Click. Now I'm in the Contacts area. And now you can see all of my contacts inside of Verifyle. And I can click on any one of these contacts, just like this. I'll click on Manny Manager's name, and that opens up a secure private messages area between me and just that one other individual, Manny Manager, where I can type any message that I would like to him, and also click on the paperclip symbol here to upload and securely share any file that I would like to with him using all the encryption that we just talked about. Okay, let's look at what might be a little bit more realistic situation. Let's say I meet somebody new, and that person's name is Christine Carson, and I want to quickly open up that secure one-to-one communication with that Christine Carson. Okay, all I need to do is click on the plus symbol here in the Contacts tab. Click, and then I will type in her name and email address, just like that. And then click Add. And now you can see that Christine Carson's name has been added to my contacts list. And in the center here, I can see private messages with Christine Carson. And I can type her secure message right here. Hi, Christine. And let's say I want to share a file with her. So all I need to do is click on the paperclip symbol here. By the way, this is the same interface that she will see on her side. Very simple, right? So I'll click on the paperclip symbol, and then I'll go ahead and I'm going to choose an annuity policy to share with her. And I click send. And that information is encrypted as it is pulled into Verifyle. Hi, Christine, and the annuity policy document, which is expanded on over here where I can do a number of things to it, but we'll take a look at that in just a few minutes. The important thing to have in your mind for right now is that as I added this information into Verifyle, automatically behind the scenes, an email alert was sent to Christine Carson that lands in her regular old email box, and it informs her that I, Dana Shibley, the professional, am securely sharing a message and also an annuity policy document with her. But she cannot actually access that message or the annuity policy document from that email alert that she received. Why? Because email is not secure. We don't want to be sending sensitive information back and forth via email. But she can click on the link in that email alert, which will bring her into Verifyle, where she can create her own password and automatically enter Verifyle and immediately get access to both the message, hi Christine, and also the annuity policy document. And if she looks at that annuity policy document, I will know so instantly because I will receive a regular old email alert to that effect. And if she downloads it, I will similarly receive an email alert to that effect. So I know exactly what she's doing on her side, right, with respect to that document. And if for some reason Christine does not like clicking on links in email alerts, then she can simply go to verifyle.com and access that information. And by the way, those instances of her accessing that particular document or any document that I share with her, there's a log of that I can see anytime that I would like to. Okay, before we move forward here, let's go ahead and see what this actually looks like from Christine Carson's perspective. So I'm now going to sign in as Christine Carson, all right? I'm becoming Christine Carson here. And I would have received an email alert, or if I happened to already be in Verifyle, I, Christine Carson, would have perhaps first seen this internal alert right here. So I click on the Contact tab, and I, Christine, can see the message typed to me from Dana in the private messages area, all right? So as you know, if I take a look at that annuity policy document, that instantly sends an alert to Dana to that effect, okay? And let's say that as Christine, I decide to go ahead and communicate back to Dana. So down here in the area where I can type, which looks just like Dana's side, I'll type a message to Dana. Hi, Dana, please bring my husband into this communication as well. Okay, and if I would like, I, Christine, can click on the paperclip symbol here to securely share a file back to Dana. Okay, so as Christine, I'll click send right here, very simple. All right, and now let's go back. I'm looking again from Dana's perspective. Okay, so I'm back as Dana, the professional. All right, and I can see the message that Christine has typed back to me. All right, I went through that relatively slowly and methodically just to make sure everyone's on board with that most basic function inside of Verifyle, where I can share a file or messages back and forth with anybody. Okay, so if you meet someone and you want to instantly open up a secure one-to-one communication with them, you can go ahead and do that by simply clicking on the plus symbol right here in contact, adding their name and email address. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also use our mobile app if you would like. Okay, so for those situations where you're working with relatively simple projects or clients with whom you have relatively simple secure sharing needs, a document or two, a few messages back and forth, and that's it, you can handle those situations and those people right out of your contacts area probably, right? Okay, however, many of you are going to have situations where you're going to need some deeper level communication capabilities. For example, I can see here already that this client or potential client, Christine Carson, is talking about bringing her husband into this communication. Okay, so maybe there's another person. Okay, and Christine Carson has also communicated to me, let's say, about not only advice regarding taxes, but also some estate planning issues and some business succession issues. And I'm thinking about how this is going to affect her finances and how this is going to affect her taxes and so on and so forth. And I think she mentioned she might want her attorney to get involved and so forth. Okay, so this is evidence that I might need multiple threads of communication in which perhaps I have multiple people involved. Maybe the attorney will be involved in estate planning communication, but not tax-related communication. And maybe there will be some other people involved as well. And there will be different documents in each of these communications and different messages for different people and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are all examples of me wanting to think about using a workspace, which is going to give me some deeper level communication capabilities. So I will click on the Workspaces tab, click, and here you can see I already have a number of workspaces set up. These tend to be situations where there's a lot of information moving back over a significant period of time. Lots of communication that needs to be organized, secure. These are situations that I need workspaces for. So they're probably lots of documents and perhaps multiple people and multiple threads in these situations. Okay, I want such a situation in which to communicate with Christine Carson because there's a good potential that she's going to become a significant client and I'll need some deeper level communication capability. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol up here in the Workspaces tab, click, and I will create a workspace I call Client Christine Carson. Okay. There's the new workspace, Client Christine Carson, and you can see that the host is me, Dana Shibley. Why am I the host? Because I am the creator of this workspace, which puts me in the position of also being the conductor or the quarterback, if you will, right? Anyone else that I add into this workspace that we're going to go into in just a second, anyone else that I add in here will be a guest, okay? I am the host. And as the host of this workspace, I will be the only person who can add and remove anybody to this workspace. I'm the only person who will be able to add new topics, threads into this workspace, and possibly remove people, remove threads as well. Let's click into the Client Christine Carson workspace. Click. Okay, here it is. It's blank, right? But there's the name of the workspace, Client Christine Carson, and the Verifyle system is prompting me to first add a guest. All right, so I click here and I'm going to add a guest. Well, the first person I'm going to add is Christine Carson herself. So I do a search for her. There she is. and I click add one. And now you can see that Christine Carson has been added as a guest to the client Christine Carson workspace. Okay, and the Verifyle system has recognized, oh, Dana already had that secure one-to-one communication going on with Christine Carson that he began in the contacts area. So we should bring that private messages one-to-one communication into the workspace environment as well, just in case Dana wants to have access to that secure one-to-one communication with Christine, okay? But the reason that we created this workspace, client Christine Carson, in the first place was so that we could take advantage of those deeper level communication capabilities, right? And I can do that by going into workspace threads. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol here, and I'm going to create a workspace thread called tax planning. There we go, okay? And I'm going to create another one called estate planning. We go. Okay, so I have two workspace threads here. Let's start out in the tax planning workspace thread. Okay, I can see that it's private. No guests have access yet. I can see because I've clicked on it here that it's front and center, tax planning. No guests have access. Okay, so I need to tell the Verifyle system, I need to inform the Verifyle system who I want to have access to this thread. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, this is something you want to remember. I'm going to give you a corny little jingle here to help you remember. When you're in Verifyle and things become unclear with respect to what your options are to move the situation forward, when things are unclear, go to the gear. Wherever you are in Verifyle, if you move your cursor around, you'll see little gear icons. They're all over the place. Okay, when things are unclear, you go to the gear. So I'm going to click on the gear symbol right here, and I'm going to click on Manage Permissions. Permissions are what enable me to give people access to information. So I'll click Manage Permissions, and I'm going to give Christine Carson access to the tax planning workspace thread. And I just did that. You see that? Okay, and recall that in the private message between me and Christine Carson, she informed me that she wanted me to bring her husband into the communication. And I know she's referring to tax planning. So I'm going to go back to the tax planning workspace thread. I'm going to go to the gear. When things are unclear, I go to the gear. I click on the gear symbol. I click Manage Permissions, and I'm going to add her husband. Okay. Now he's not going to be in my list of contacts because I've never communicated with him before. So I will add him. And let's just say his name is Sammy Spouse. And that's his email address. All right. So I just added Sammy Spouse. There he is. I click add one. And now Christine and Sammy will both have access to any information I put inside of this tax planning workspace thread. Okay, so I'll type a message here. And I will click on the paperclip symbol here to add some tax documents. Let's just pick some real quick here. I'll pull in some tax documents. Okay, and by the way, I can just drag and drop those documents in if I would like. Okay, and then I click send. That information is encrypted as it's brought into Verifyle, and now I can see that Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse have access to the message I typed for them. Let's work on taxes, and they have access to these three documents right here. Those documents are expanded on over here on the right, and those of you who are looking carefully can see that gear icons are popping up everywhere, right? And I can click on any gear icon that I would like, just like this. And this gives me the option to do a number of different things, including view access history, download that document, download multiple documents, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is, I've set up this workspace thread to share information with Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse. Now let's similarly go to the estate planning workspace thread. Okay, here we are. And nobody has access yet. It's private. So what am I going to do? I'm going to click the gear icon. I'm going to click Manage Permissions. I'm going to give access to both Christine and Sammy. Now they both have access. Oh, and I'm recalling that Christine wanted me to bring her estate planning attorney into this communication as well. So I'm going to go to the gear, click on Manage Permissions, and I'm going to add her estate planning attorney, Lisa Lawyer, to this workspace thread. Okay, there, I just added Lisa Lawyer. Okay, and I'll type a message here. work on estate planning, and I might type a welcome message to Lisa if she's just joining after I've been communicating for some time with Christine and Sammy, right? And I'll click on the paperclip symbol here to pull in some estate planning documents. How about business succession checklist and last will and testament, letter of intent, life insurance policy, and living trust document. Okay, I'll drag and drop those 5 documents in like that. I'll click send. Okay, that information again is all encrypted as it's pulled into Verifyle, and now I can see that Christine, Lisa, and Sammy have access to those 5 documents, right? And so any of the 4 of us, me included, right, can communicate back and forth securely with one another. Okay, so I've got the 2 workspace threads here, and it occurs to me, you know, as I communicate more and more with Christine Carson, I'm getting a sense of how she is very likely going to become a very significant client of mine. And there are multiple issues I need to be thinking about whenever I'm working on her situation as a client. I would like to have a place inside of Verifyle to keep information just for my reference that nobody else gets access to. Easy. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol right here, and I'll create a new thread that I call my stuff or my reference material. There it is. There's a new workspace thread. It's private. No guests have access yet. And there it is, front and center, right? No guests have access to my reference materials. I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol right here. I'm going to add a few documents. Let's click for some other ones here. I'll bring in the inspection report, insurance document X, and how about the personal financial statement. Okay, so I'll bring those 3 documents in like that. Okay, so those 3 documents are in, and I click send, all right? And that didn't actually send those documents to anybody, but those documents are now effectively in secure, encrypted storage inside of Verifyle for my reference alone, okay? Conveniently in the same workspace that all the communications are happening with client Christine Carson and other people in her orbit. And of course, at any time in the future, if I would like, I certainly can choose to share these documents with colleagues of mine or whomever I would like, but they're in encrypted storage in the same way that other documents are inside of Verifyle encrypted, even though there's a good chance that they're being shared with somebody else. Okay, so high level here, what's going on? We've been working inside the workspace for client Christine Carson. Okay, in this workspace, I have set up a number of workspace threads in which I can have completely different people involved, different documents, different topics, et cetera, et cetera. So each of these workspace threads effectively serves as a dynamic subfolder within the larger organizational framework of the workspace, okay? And I can click inside any workspace thread to add, remove people. I even have the opportunity to completely delete a workspace thread if I would like, or add new workspace threads. But I can communicate with multiple people inside of here if I would like, or I can choose to go up to the guest list here, which is populated with any names that I've added inside of workspace threads, or I can just click on the plus symbol here to manually add individuals in here. And at any time, click on individual names to have that one-to-one communication with that person, the same private message that I may have started earlier inside of the contact area. Okay, it's time for us to go back in and look from the perspective of the actual client, Christine Carson, and see what her experience is inside of Verifyle. So I'm client Christine Carson. I would have received an email alert to the effect that there's a new workspace called Client Christine Carson that I've been invited into. If I happened to be inside of Verifyle, I might have first seen these internal alerts. And if I click here and I, Christine Carson, go into the Client Christine Carson workspace, this is what I see. Okay, now I can see that there's the name of the workspace. The workspace host is Dana. I can click on Dana's name, Dana the professional, anytime to securely share information back and forth with him. Or there are these workspace thread things here too, right? So I can go inside of a workspace thread, and it's important to notice here that I, Christine Carson, only see the 2 workspace threads that Dana has given me access to, right? Remember, there was a third Workspace thread called My Reference Material, but I don't even know that exists because Dana didn't give me access. In fact, there might be 4 other Workspace threads where Dana is collaborating with internal colleagues or consultants or whomever regarding complicated estate planning issues or multi-state tax issues and things like that. He doesn't want to bring me into that messy thread where he's communicating back and forth with other professionals. He wants to present to me like a professional, so I'm going to see the polished information that helps me best understand my financial situation here, right? So my main point is that I can't see all the Workspace threads inside of this Workspace, but only the ones Dana wants me to. And so inside of tax planning here, I can go in quite easily, and I'm just clearing out the alerts. Okay, I can also go into the estate planning Workspace thread here, and I can clear out the alerts also just as easily by clicking over here on the right for the various documents. And let's say that for the life insurance policy, I decide that I'd actually like to take a look at that now. So I, Christine Carson, click on the eyeball there, or I could have just clicked preview. All right, so I'm taking a look at the life insurance policy, that example document. Okay, and that just sent an email alert to Dana, by the way. And if I decide to download the document, that also just sent an email alert to Dana that I actually downloaded that life insurance policy document. Okay, and as I'm looking inside this estate planning Workspace thread, I, the client, Christine Carson, let's say it's been a few months and there are a couple hundred messages, time and date stamp messages back and forth between Dana, Lisa, Sammy, and myself, the client, Christine. And there are dozens and dozens of documents in here and so forth. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, this attorney, Lisa Lawyer, really isn't adding a lot of value, and she's awfully expensive. I don't want her to be involved in my estate planning anymore. I don't think I'm getting the value that I need. Can I remove her from this Workspace thread? No, I can't. She's a guest, but I'm also a guest. The only host here is Dana. Okay, so I might type a message to Dana, hey Dana, get rid of this attorney. She's not helping me out. But I probably wouldn't type it here, right? Because Lisa Lawyer would see it, right? But I can click on Dana's name right here to open up that one-to-one communication and just type Dana, get rid of this attorney. Okay, something a little more gracious perhaps, but I think you get the idea. So I just typed that message to Dana. And now let's go back in and look from Dana's perspective. All right, so I'm back in as Dana, and I can see the message that Christine Carson typed to me. Okay, get rid of the attorney. So what am I going to do? Oh, well, the only place that there is an attorney is the estate planning Workspace thread. So I'll click on the estate planning Workspace thread, and what do? Right now, I can see that there's Lisa Lawyer, the attorney that Christine Carson wants me to get rid of. So how do I get rid of that attorney? I go to the gear, click on Manage Permissions, remove Lisa Lawyer's access. She no longer has access to the information inside of this Workspace thread. Okay, and Christine Carson informs me that she has a new attorney that she wants to take Lisa Lawyer's place. So how do I add that new attorney? Easy. Go back to the gear, click on Manage Permissions, and I'm going to add that new lawyer, and let's say his name is Lenny Lawyers. Okay, so I just brought in Lenny Lawyers like that, and now Lenny Lawyers has access to the hundreds of time and date stamped messages and dozens of documents, including any comments that were put in here by the prior attorney, Lisa Lawyer. Okay, so in about 20 seconds, I can completely transfer that entire historical body of information to the new attorney or to the new person from my firm that I also want to bring into this communication, or whomever, right? But that's at my control only because I'm the host of this Workspace. Okay, and imagine trying to do that in email or email attachments. It would be a nightmare, right? All right, so in Verifyle, that's very easy, very powerful. Okay, the other thing I want to point out here is, remember that life insurance policy? It was pretty complicated. It wasn't a very standard life insurance policy. So I need to know who's looked at that. All right, so how do I do that? Well, in Verifyle, all I need to do is click on the gear icon right here, and then I will click on View Access History. And here, I, Dana, the professional, can see that Sammy hasn't looked yet, Lenny Lawyers hasn't looked yet. That's understandable. I just gave him access about 2 minutes ago, right? But Christine Carson has looked twice. And if I click here, I can see the exact dates and times that Christine Carson has accessed the life insurance policy. And of course, you're seeing my screen, so that's why you're seeing West Coast times here. But you would see that in your time zone, of course. But I might see, for example, if Christine Carson looked at this document 26 times in the last 2 weeks, I would see every single one of those instances right here. All right. So that would probably be a great tip off to me that she's probably pretty interested in this particular document, and I better be on my toes and be ready to answer any questions she may have about this particular document. Or perhaps I even want to reach out to her and ask her if she has questions about it, right? Similarly, if I see that she just accessed this document 10 minutes ago and I have a call scheduled with her in 15 minutes, that's a great tip off to me that I better be ready to address questions about this particular document. Okay, all these things helping to heighten my situational awareness and best service my client as a professional. Okay, similarly, whenever you're communicating inside of Verifyle, whether that be a situation where you're communicating with just a single person in a private messages communication, or you're communicating inside of a workspace thread like we are right now, I can at any time click on someone's name and see when they were last inside of that thread, regardless of whether they typed in a message or added a document or anything. Okay, and I can see that Lenny Lawyers has not been inside this workspace thread at all yet. But if I click on Christine Carson's name, here I can see that she was last in this thread on Wednesday, May 31st at 10:35 a.m. my Pacific time, right? So at a minimum, I have a sense of the recency of this information in my client's name. Again, all just helping me be on top of this situation. Okay, so stepping back a little bit, I do want to point out to all of you here at high level, something that's very important here is, you see how I set up these workspace threads? Now, certainly you'll have clients for whom you don't need to have what I was referring to as deeper level communications, because you're just going to have a few messages back and forth and a few documents. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 documents, and that's it, right? But for those clients of yours where you need that deeper level communication, right? And perhaps they're more demanding and you need to be more meticulous, and they're going to perceive more value by you professionally presenting to them. Take advantage of these workspace threads and the ability it gives you to give them a presentation which is a portfolio view of their finances whenever they sign into Verifyle. For example, let's say that if I know that Christine Carson has a lot of assets in real estate or heavy equipment, I might want to create an additional workspace thread called depreciation schedule. Or if I know that she's involved in situations where she's getting various government land grants or special leases or something to that effect, I might want to put that grant or licensing information in a separate workspace thread so that whenever she comes in, she has the experience that is most unlike email, where information just kind of comes in clusters, the documents and the messages, and she comes into what is a portfolio presentation of me, who she's paying, organizing that information for her. Again, I know some of your clients would really benefit from that and appreciate it, and some you're not going to get that appreciation. That's something for you to decide. Okay, so because of the field that you work in, electronic signatures are very important for you, I would imagine. So let's go into the tax planning workspace thread here. And in the tax planning workspace thread, from Christine and Sammy, I want to request their signature on a document. So please sign this doc. All right, I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol here, and I'm going to ask them to sign how about just an engagement letter, okay? All right, there's the engagement letter, and I realize I probably should have done this up front, okay? All right, so all of you know by now that if I click send, it's simply going to share that engagement letter and this message with Christine Carson and Sammy's spouse. But I need their signatures. So what do? I click in this box right here to request signing, and then I click send. I click send, and the Verifyle is prompting me, who do I want to sign this document between the two of them? Just one of them or both of them? I want both of them to sign this document. And you know what? I want Christine Carson to actually sign it first. Okay. And then I'm going to click next. All right. And for each of the signers, I need to make a couple of decisions. So for Christine Carson here, do I want to require this signer to agree to terms? And the terms are, I agree to do business electronically. And I can change those to be whatever I would like. But let's leave them as is for now. All right. Yes, I do want to require her to agree to these terms. And do I want to require SMS verification on that signature? Yes, I do. So I'll click here. And I need to add in Christine Carson's mobile phone number at which I know she can receive the one-time signature code. So I will put her mobile phone number in. Like that. And then I click next. All right, same questions for Sammy's spouse. Do I want him to agree to terms? Yes, I want him to agree to these terms. Okay, do I want to add SMS verification? Yes. All right, so I will go ahead and add Sammy's phone number like that. And then I click continue. Okay, so here's a document. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit, make it easier to work with. And for Christine Carson, I'm simply going to move my mouse right here. I'm going to scroll down. As I move my mouse, it moves this cursor, and I'm going to draw a rectangle where I want her signature to be. So I draw the rectangle, and there. Verifyle will request her signature right here. I can click in this rectangle and choose instead that I want her initials or a date format or a custom field to be there, but I do want her signature there. And let's say that I want the date to go right here, the date in that format. Okay, that's all good. So I will click next signer right here. And the next signer is Sammy's spouse. And so I need to also indicate what and where I want information from Sammy's spouse. I'm going to draw a rectangle right here for Sammy's signature. And then I'm going to draw another rectangle right here for Sammy's initials, let's say. Okay, then I click finish request. And then I click submit request. Okay. My signature request has been recorded, and I can see that Christine Carson has been notified via email alert and also via an internal alert that her signature is being asked for on the engagement letter document. So I'm going to go in now as Christine Carson, and I requested her signature on the engagement letter in the tax planning workspace thread. Okay, and I'm in now as Christine, and I am going to click here to review and sign this document. Okay, I'm going to click here to review and sign the engagement letter document. Okay, do I agree to do business electronically? If I click no, I won't be allowed to proceed and sign. I'm going to click yes. And the first thing that's being requested of me is the 7-digit code that I should have received on my mobile phone. So I'm going to go ahead and access that. Okay, and that 7-digit code is here. It is. Okay, and I will confirm my signature. Okay, and now I simply confirm as requested by Dana that my signature goes here and that the date goes here. Okay. All right. And now I, Christine, can see that I have signed that document. Now let's go back in and look from Dana's perspective. Okay, I'm in as Dana, the professional, again, right? The CPA or enrolled agent or other professional. And I can see that Christine Carson has signed the engagement letter. I can click on it here, or I can click on it over here. Okay, so I'm just going to preview the document. Okay. And if I scroll down, I can see where Christine Carson has signed and dated the document. Okay, just like I requested. And at any time that I would like, I can click on the gear icon and decide I want to look at view signing information. So I'll click here to view signing information. And here I can see the document signing audit report, okay, including all the metadata associated with me requesting the signature and the metadata associated with Christine Carson signing the document, including that she accepted to agree to do business electronically. She successfully passed the SMS verification process, and her IP address has been captured per IRS requirements in order for this to be compliant. And at any time that I would like, I can go over here and click print to print out either in hard copy or PDF format the document signing audit report. And we're not going to go through the whole signing process again as her spouse, Sammy's spouse, but once he signs, then all of his information will be added to this document signing audit report, making it complete. Okay. All right. Another thing you should know is that for any document inside of Verifyle, if you go ahead and you preview it, you get unlimited editing capability inside of Verifyle. So let me enlarge this. And then if you want to access editing capability, click on the pencil symbol right here. And that gives you the ability to click on the X to delete pages inside of any document. You can also change the order of pages inside of any document. You can click on add annotation in order to add annotation. Okay. Just like that, to any documents that you put inside of Verifyle. And you can also merge multiple documents together into a single document if you would like to. All right. So I would imagine some of you are probably paying money to do that in other places right now. All right. So I'll go ahead and close this out. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out to you real quickly here before I forget, this is always a question that comes up inside of Verifyle at any time. If you have your Workspaces list in front of you, at any time, you can go ahead and click on this Sort tab over to the right, and you can choose to sort the Workspaces by host first name, last name, or Workspace name if you would like. I like to keep that information sorted by updated date, which I refer to as recency. Okay. And similarly, if you're inside the contacts area, you can go over to that same tab and sort it by first name, by last name, or by recency. I like it sorted by recency. All right. So moving ahead here, let's go back into the client Christine Carson workspace real quickly. And I want to point out something to you that is maybe obvious to some of you, but it's worth talking about, particularly because we're here in Silicon Valley. This is a point that I like to really make clear to people. There are a lot of software companies in the professional services industry, and they have all these modules and different things that you pay money for to put together into this whole set of information or capabilities to help you work with your clients. And a lot of them think that that's great. Well, we believe that nothing could be farther from the truth. Inside of this workspace environment right here, and by the way, if you talk to people who are just getting started using Verifyle, frequently they'll tell you that they're starting to use Verifyle because of all of the encryption that I told you about. But if you talk to people after they've been using it for a few months, they will tell you that they love it and they stick with it because it's easy for their clients and it's easy and productive for them as well. And a lot of it stems from the fact that inside of a workspace environment like we're in right now, inside of kind of one mental gulp, if you will, you can see all the key people involved. You can see all the key topics in the form of workspace threads, and you can very easily access all the key documents. So kind of in this single pane of glass right here, you can really wrap your head around the situation, which helps make it more tangible, this whole client Christine Carson situation. And when you make a situation more tangible, it allows you to elevate your thinking beyond doing task A, task B, task C, et cetera, and allows you to think more strategically in terms of how do you move the situation forward? How do you provide more high-level value, et cetera, et cetera. And Verifyle really allows people to do that. And it also serves as a wonderful digital cue card, if you will. Imagine that you're working with multiple clients and suddenly your client, Christine Carson, calls you out of the blue and you haven't talked to her in 3 months. And she begins very quickly talking to you about some rarely used tax document or some very detailed situation that you spoke with her about 3 months ago. And in the interim, you've spoken with 800 other people, right? So what you want to be able to do is snap your mind back to that place where you can immediately provide value to Christine Carson. And all you need to do inside of Verifyle is click on that workspace and you'll instantly see, oh yeah, here are the key people involved. And here were the key topics, and here are the key documents. and just help you get back in that frame of mind so you can quickly continue to provide value to that client. Okay, so moving ahead here, I would like to show you real quickly a couple of workspaces that I created in advance that I think will reflect some of the situations that you also work in. All right, so let's go back to the home screen here for Workspaces. And let's say that one of my clients is a small business, company ABC, financial reports and records. I created this workspace for them. And if I click in it, I can see here all the key people involved inside the company. And I can easily, quickly, securely communicate with any one of them on a one-to-one basis anytime that I would like. But I've also created workspace threads, including management financials that I've selectively given them access to, sales planning that I've given other people inside the company selective access to, tax-related information that I've also provided selective access to, et cetera, et cetera. So I can service my client and also make sure that information is well organized for them as I communicate with them. I think probably this next example drives this home even better for many of you. Some of you may have clients that represent not only their own interests, but the interests of their entire family, and perhaps a collection of various business interests as well. Perhaps that's a high net worth individual in a family or something to that effect. Let's say that this Rockefeller family workspace is such an example. So I click on the Rockefeller family workspace. My main contact there, let's just say, is Ricky Rockefeller, okay? And Ricky Rockefeller has a number of immediate and extended family members like Rhonda Rockefeller and Susie's stepsister, people that are in his family network, but also a number of professionals in his network, including Ed Executive, his business partner, Larry Lenderbank, his banker, and maybe Arnold Advisor, his financial advisor, okay? Now, certainly I can communicate with any one of those individuals in his family or professional network on a one-to-one basis, under the instruction and the guidance of my client, Ricky Rockefeller, of course. But I also can set up a number of workspace threads, like a legal requirements workspace thread, or a cash flows workspace thread, or the estate planning workspace thread, or the tax considerations workspace thread. And inside the estate planning workspace thread, there are a number of documents you can see here, including asset list, last will and testament, and life insurance policy, that probably some people are quite interested, including his immediate and extended family members like Rhonda Rockefeller and Susie's stepsister, and maybe even his professional services providers like Arnold Advisor and Larry Lenderbank, his banker. So as a professional, of course, I want to be able to provide that great top-notch tax planning advice to Ricky Rockefeller. And of course, I want to give him help in terms of financial planning for the future. And if I can, also estate planning advice, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that he expects of me. But in the professional services market, it's quite competitive. I would like the ability to add value as a professional services provider and also put myself in the very sticky position of being the secure professional steward of his information to his family and professional services network if I can. How sticky is that position? How much extra value add is that for my client, Ricky Rockefeller? Of course, all of this would be done in conjunction with me communicating with Ricky Rockefeller, but I would be able to set up appropriate workspace threads under his guidance and communicate out to various people in his network and have proof of their access of that information as well. So I'm beating this particular point a little bit too much, but I'm trying to emphasize that inside of Verifyle, there are many ways for you to be able to really shine, to really elevate your value above and beyond what is traditionally expected of you. And you might find that to be a great way to get exposure to some other great folks, professionals and family members of his, for example, that might also become clients of yours in the future. Okay, all right, let's move forward. So from the home screen here, I want to point out real quickly again, if you click on the contacts tab, yes, you can click on the plus symbol and you can add individual contacts just by adding their names and email addresses, but you can also bulk import contacts into Verifyle using the standard file format, the CSV file format. And you would then have a list of contacts inside of Verifyle instantly, so that you could click on any one of those names and immediately open or continue that secure one-to-one communication with that particular person. Okay. Also, it makes it very easy if you bulk import contacts to build out workspaces, because you're not constantly thinking about typing in each person's name and email address. Okay, if you go to youtube.com and you type in Verifyle contact, you will see a very brief video there that shows you how to use the CSV file format to import contact information. If you need any help at all, just reach out to us at support@verifyle.com and we're happy to help you out with that. Okay, finally, let's go ahead quickly, and I want to point out that if you click on your name at the top right and then go into the account settings area, you can change your name, you can change your email address here, you can edit your signature, you can swap out the default PSTAP logo for any logo of your choosing. You can see how much of your CellUcrypt encrypted storage that you've used. And here you can see that I've used only 19 megs of 250 gigs, so a very, very tiny, tiny fraction of 1% of that information. And here I can see automatically send alerts is on. This is what makes it so that whenever I add information inside of Verifyle, an email alert is automatically sent to the intended recipients of that information. Okay, I recommend that all of you leave that on, okay, especially for now, just getting started. Document activity alert is on. This makes it so that you will receive an email alert whenever somebody looks at or downloads a document that you shared with them. Message edit is on. You do have the option to click here to turn off message edit capability in those workspaces that you host. That would turn off message edit capability for everybody. Okay, so you have that option. Block list, I haven't blocked anybody. Blocking someone inside of Verifyle is not a bad thing. It simply makes it so that you will not receive an email alert when that person shares information with you. You will only see the internal alert in Verifyle. So if you have someone who you're constantly speaking with, maybe they're in the same office with you, they're telling you when they're putting things inside of Verifyle, you're talking about everything, you don't need an email alert probably to know when that person has shared something with you inside of Verifyle. So you could just block that person if you'd like. Okay, language, we now have English, Spanish, and French. We'll be adding more languages there. Security settings, here you have the ability to change your password if you would like. Here in session management, I highly recommend all of you go into session management. Inside of session management, you would see here if you had any sessions open on other devices or other browsers, okay? And perhaps most importantly, you have the ability to grab this little slider circle right here and indicate to Verifyle the amount of time after which, if you had been inactive in your Verifyle account, that Verifyle should sign you out. Okay, I like to keep it at 1 or 2 hours. Okay, and this is especially important for those of you who might forget to log out of your Verifyle system after you use it. Okay, and then two-factor authentication is on. You might recall that I used that to gain access to the account we're using right now. Password reset capability is on. You do have the ability to turn off password reset capability, which is an extremely powerful security feature. However, if you use this, turning off password reset capability, you need to use it with your eyes wide open, okay? There's a huge black market out there for email credentials. If somebody gets a hold of your email credentials, there's a high likelihood that that person may be able to gain access to your email account. After which, of course, they're going to look through your sent box, your trash box, and your various folders and so forth for information to monetize. But some of those individuals will dig deeper and look for evidence of various online services that you're using. And they will go to those online services and look for that link that says something like, help me out, I'd like to reset my password, or I've forgotten my password. They'll click on that link, which in many cases will send a password reset email to that hijacked email account of yours, and they will attempt to reset those passwords to those various online services while they have your hijacked email account. So this is a real risk. This is happening to people every single day. And with Verifyle, if you turn off password reset capability, then you effectively shut the door on someone who gets into your email account and then tries to get into your Verifyle system, because Verifyle will not allow that password of yours to be changed from the outside. Okay, so I use this feature. I've turned off password reset capability. I sleep well at night knowing that my information is super safe and secure. Okay, and not even my colleagues inside of Verifyle can see that information. But I've also taken that extra precaution of writing my password down and putting it someplace safe and secure. And I would recommend that you do the same thing if you turn off password reset capability. This is all a long-winded way of me telling you that if you turn off your password reset capability and you forget your password, you won't see your information again, and even we can't get you back in. Okay, so I know I probably just scared away a bunch of you, but some of you might be thinking to yourself, that's exactly what you want. All right, and if you go down the path of turning off password reset capability, then you will see ample warning there. Okay, one thing before I forget here is you should all be aware of the fact that you actually have a special version of Verifyle. It's not just regular Verifyle Pro. In fact, you get access not to just 30 workspaces, but to 1,500 workspaces. And it probably would help you in terms of thinking of using Workspaces for those clients of yours where you're going to need those deep level communications, and maybe just working right out of contacts for the start, or maybe for all time for clients where you have relatively simple communication needs, right? Okay, so that's the end of the demonstration, but all of you should be aware that a video of this demo today will be made so that you can access that at your leisure. And I should probably take a look at the questions here real quick. Okay, if you share information with someone in Verifyle, let's say a client, then what would happen is that client would receive that email alert, and they click on the link in that email alert. That'll bring them into Verifyle. They create their own password and they're in, all right? And they're seeing the information that you're sharing with them. And I would suggest to all of you that in terms of bringing your clients into Verifyle, you might consider, number one, just putting together an old-fashioned simple email to all of your clients, just letting them know that in the interest of protecting their information, going forward, you will be communicating with them using Verifyle. That gives them a heads up that they will be invited into Verifyle, right? And then go into Verifyle and actually add a little information. And maybe it's just a, hello, the tax season's about to start, or hello, here's some information I thought you might find useful, et cetera, et cetera. Put something in there, and that, as you know, automatically triggers an email alert to those clients. And then when they come into Verifyle, there's something there for them, right? The last thing you want to do is just invite your clients to come in, first of all, and they come in and there's absolutely nothing there waiting for them. That's not a good experience to get into any software with, right? So yeah, put something in there, and then when they come in, there's something there waiting for them. Okay, and another thing you absolutely don't want to do is you don't want to ever have more than one client inside of a single workspace. It starts to get a little bit complicated, so don't set yourself up for failure that way. So think about a workspace for a client situation or a project or anything that you want to be absolutely safe and secure and that you need to be completely on top of. Okay, other things, there's no file size limit in Verifyle. Okay, so effectively your limit is constrained by how good your bandwidth is if you're trying to bring in a really large file. And then another thing I'll point out here, I see some questions related to how long does information stay in Verifyle. Keep in mind that when you put information in Verifyle, it generally stays in Verifyle. There's no timeout or anything like that, right? There's no expiry date. But you do have some control over having information go away if you're the host of a workspace. Remember, I hosted the Workspace client, Christine Carson, so I'll click on that. Let's say I no longer want estate planning to be part of this communication. I do have the ability, because I'm the host of this workspace, I can click on the gear symbol here, and I can delete the entire thread, just like that. The estate planning workspace thread is now gone from the client, Christine Carson workspace. Okay, similarly, I can go home and I can see my list of workspaces. And let's say that I want to delete the client Christine Carson workspace. That's a two-step process, and I can do that by first of all clicking on the gear icon, right? And then the first step is I click Archive Workspace. Okay, now you can see that that workspace is gone from the active colored area, but if I click here on Archive, I can see the client Christine Carson workspace in the grayed out Archive area. And I can click the gear icon right here. And if I click Unarchive Workspace, it'll pop it back up into the colored active workspace area. And by the way, if somebody were to add a message or a document or anything to this workspace, that would automatically kick it back up into the active workspace area. Okay, and then finally, I do have the ability here to click Delete Workspace, which completely deletes the entire client Christine Carson workspace. Okay, so that's how I do that. Okay, so I want to thank all of you for participating in today's presentation. I want to thank PSTAP for being a great partner. I appreciate you taking some time to watch today's presentation.